This is Harry Judd for Boxing Social in association with Betfred in Greater Manchester. I'm delighted to be joined by Nigel Travis. You're here at VIP Boxing Club in New Astley, but this morning you were obviously at Moss Side, the amateur boxing club.
Yeah, I'm at Moss Side every day. That's my bread and butter really. This is a pleasure to come here. It's the best thing in the world. But the amateurs is where I learn everything about boxing really. Being an amateur, I was garbage as a pro myself, but it's just a place that needs to be, looked after because of where it is, but not just because of where it is. We're building a lot at the moment, so we're in the process of building classrooms to try and engage with the local community a bit more. So there at 7 o'clock this morning, then with the pros here, then back there in an hour. With the builders who are in there today, first day on site, so a bit nervous, a bit stressed, not stressed, rubbish, but a bit of an headache because things need to be agreed, and it's not my world. Building world's not my world, but yeah, boxing, it's all boxing all the way, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously became aware of you when I was working for England Boxing a few years ago, and obviously the club's a huge amateur boxing club. National titles here, there, and everywhere. But the season is about to start, or maybe has started. I know the pre-quarters and semi-finals of the developments as well. This weekend, is it just gone? Yeah, again, for how did you get on this weekend for the viewers?
Yeah, we've got a young lad in. We got a young lad beat last week in the area finals, but he's a brand new novice, heavyweight, and so he lost last week. And then you got a young kid, Hemedin Rostam, who's a 67 kilogram kid, just a little light welterweight, and yeah, he's 18 in the youths, and he's just won the pre-quarters down in Tamworth against a kid who'd had 9 bouts and won 8, so that's a decent record, and he beat him. So he's in the quarterfinals this week, again in Yorkshire, in Bridlington, against a Bridlington boy, which is... So the season, we've already had our first show of the season, which was a great success. We had that at the Point in Lancashire Cricket Ground in Old Trafford. Yeah, so we've already had a show, and we've had 20 contests, 30 contests already. So we're a busy gym, as you say. We've got some success, which is great, but not even the success. It's not even the wins. It's not even the national champions or the kids who are on GB or the kids who are doing well. The success is in the gym itself, in engaging with the kids and taking the kids in a different direction to what they were going. And that's as simple as it goes. So boxing does that. Boxing has that ability to engage with these kids to hopefully give them a more positive future than they already would have had.
One show I need to talk to you about is the Mike Dillon Memorial Show. Go on, just talk to me about that one.
That was our dinner show. It was in memorial of my formative partners. So 3 of us, 3 friends who are firefighters at Moss Side Fire Station, decided, talked about making a gym down in Moss Side, and we did. Mike Dillon was one of those formative members, and Mike sadly passed away in March of this year. He had an illness, it was just a tragic. Mike was 54. He was a great man. Was the reason the gym is doing so well now is because of Mike. There's no bone of contention with that. Mike Dillon was the idea behind it. Really, he was the brains. He had a way of pacifying things and making things go. So because of that, I will be eternally grateful to Mike Dillon forever. I'm still very close with his family. Mike passed away, so we had the Mike Dillon Memorial boxing show. And it was just to doff our caps, really. And it's our dinner show that we have, but we changed it to the Mike Dillon Memorial. And we had 14 bouts. We won 7, lost 7. We could have lost all 14 bouts, in honesty, because it was matched. Even if I do say so myself, it was matched pretty precariously. It was matched tough, but that's where they learn. There's no losses in this game if you learn. the only time that you ever lose is when you don't learn. So you win or you learn, and if you don't learn, you've lost. I know it's a bit of a head scratcher, but it's the truth. And Mike was absolutely instrumental in all that. So may he rest in peace, and he was a great friend to have.
Yeah, to my knowledge, it was a really, really big event. But last time I was here, the McCaskill fight wasn't announced, but here we are. It is announced. First of all, your instant reaction to that, Nigel?
Yeah, it's fantastic. I say yeah, it's a fantastic bout. It really is. Yeah. It's one that gets the juices flowing. Certainly, it's a real. People say it's a pick-em. It's a 50-50 fight because the bookies don't get it wrong usually. Sometimes they do, sometimes they mess up, but very, very rarely. And that's why they're all so successful. That's why they're all in big houses on Lee Road. But they really, it's a real interesting fight for Chantel, certainly. Obviously, McCaskill's the undisputed at welterweight. It's coming down maybe to a more natural weight for her. I think, like a lot of the girls, have taken opportunities out of their own natural weights because of the opportunity and the exposure and the money and maybe the depth of talent in certain weights. There's a lot of good fighters, a lot of female good fighters, and it's very hard to call them female boxers now. They're just boxers, but there's a lot of really fantastic fighters. But because of the depth in those weights, some of the girls seem to be bouncing among the weights. So I presume McCaskill got an opportunity at welterweight and took it, and now she's undisputed. So she's obviously she's a face proposal for Chantel. But we back Chantel all the way. She really is a pleasure to train. She's professional. She's so intense in the sport that she wants to learn so much. So wherever she would go, she would do well. She would certainly do well and achieve. I really do believe that. And we believe that this is just another step. And it's her right place. We believe that she's the best in the world at both light welterweight and lightweight. And I know that's a big shout because of Katie Taylor. So to have 3 undisputed champions, 1 at Katie Taylor, 2 Chantel Cameron, 3 Jennifer McCaskill, that's a great thing to have. So there's someone who's good at that weight, who's the best in the world by far. So we believe that Chantel's the best at light welterweight, certainly. And a natural weight is a lightweight. So again, there's interesting times in the future, but make no mistakes, this is what it's all about. It's all culminates on Bonfire Night over in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, I was about to mention that it's going to be a huge spectacle anyway. But it is for all the belts. There was talk that she wasn't going to put her belts on the line, but this, because Chantel, wasn't she offering her belts previously? But it is for everything, undisputed. I mean, what would that mean to Chantel?
Yeah, well, Chantel, in all fairness, McCaskill's not bringing anything to it. So Chantel is the unified world champion, and Mary McGee, who was who had the other 2 belts, has been ill. Yeah. So Chantel, so luckily through negotiations, whatever, she's vacated. I presume because she wants to short the winner straight away. So she's vacated her belts, and now Chantel fights for all the belts. She has 2, but she wants them all. Yeah. Rightly so. And I suppose that's what dreams are made of. People dream of becoming a world champion. Then you can be, once you're a world champion, you can dream of being unified. Then when you're unified, you can probably dream. The biggest cherry on the cake is obviously to become undisputed, which she's hoping to be. So we'll see.
She was hoping to fight McCaskill a few years ago when she was her mandatory, but that, unfortunately, at that time would have been for the IBF, just that title. So now it seemed that everything sort of come to plan for this fight.
Yeah, of course. Well, this is it. You can connect the dots going backwards. So when you get to your destination, you can look back and say, "Oh, that's why that happened." So you don't know at the time when it's going on. So she is where she is, and all roads lead to this. And this is by far her toughest fight in her career, without a doubt. And it's one that we thoroughly believe that she can grip, win, and become a absolutely undisputed number one.
Someone that you wanted, perhaps on the undercard, was Akib Fiaz. Is there any news on that happening?
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, I believe that's happening. Akib, he's coming out there with us. So yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting for the gym. It's not every day you go to Abu Dhabi. Again, it's not someone I've ever been before. So
looking forward to it.
Yeah, again, I'm looking. To me, it's work, innit? You know, we're going over there to work. Of course, you see the place while you're there.
Bit of a jolly boys outing, is it?
Well, it's work, isn't it? So no. But listen, we've been to Vegas, and Vegas, you know, it's work. You go there, and everyone says, "Oh, you're going to."
Got any stories for us? Come on, nothing for us.
Absolutely nothing. And again, I know people may think you're talking out your ass, but seriously, when you go there, when we went to last time with Carl Frampton, you know, it was just work. So until the fight's, you know, done. So the working's over, then we're coming back the next day. So there's no nonsense going on. It really is work all out.
We know, one of the men in this gym today is Jack Catterall. I spoke to him at the weekend. I won't bother him again today. It seems to have spoken to him all the time. But is there any news on this Josh Taylor fight? What is going on?
Listen. I don't know. I'm not a businessman. You know, I don't get involved in the business. I just try.
There are discussions going on, though. I've been told.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, well, they are. I'll say apparently there are. You know, I believe they've agreed. Fights. You know, things have agreed. I'm sure that, you know, things get agreed all the time. But things were agreed, as far as I was concerned, 10 months ago, and 8 months ago, 9 months ago, whatever. You know, so it was all done. It was going to happen. It was his next fight. Apparently, both camps. It's the only fight that they want. Both camps. And so I believe that the promotional companies are involved, so it should be happening. And things got postponed because of other stuff, and the only simple answer is nobody knows. We believe that they are fighting, so there's a lot of pressure for them to fight because, you know, where can Josh Taylor go? You know, Josh Taylor has to fight Jack Catterall because it was so wrong what happened last time, regardless of what, you know, people trying to convince themselves by saying that. You know, it was wrong. It was a massive injustice. But that's life, you know, and get over it. People keep saying, and I've seen things on Twitter, people saying, just get over it, you know. But it's very difficult to get over. To become undisputed world champion with all the belts. And then you see Josh getting stripped of certain belts. So, but it is what it is, and again, I've not got over it, but it's life. You just got to go. You got to play the cards that you dealt, and Jack's playing the cards he's being dealt at the moment. So we are expecting it to be his next fight.
Yeah, we understand that, but you know, when's the cut-off point for you guys? Because Jack wants to be back out. You know, could we see Jack out other than Josh Taylor his next fight? I know they both want it, but arguably for Jack's sake, he wants to get out there as soon as possible. Well,
listen. It's a long time ago when he boxed now, so if what they're talking about, it could be like nearly 12 months since his last fight. That's ridiculous. And previous to that, it was 12 months nearly since his last fight. So it's a long time of inactivity, and that's going to do no one any favours. Both Taylor and Catterall, of course. So they want it to happen, and again, it is a $1 million question. At what point he said, you know what, forget it. Let's go in a different direction. But because they're so intent on fighting each other, then they want closure. Both camps want closure, understandably, and so we're expecting things to be announced. Hopefully in November we'll know a lot more for certain. And when it's announced, then it's out there, isn't it? Yeah. So when things are announced and everyone's talking about it, then there's more pressure, you know. But pressure creates diamonds. So we'll just see what goes, and we're expecting it to be his next fight. So I don't know what the cut-off point is. You'd have to ask Jack. I'm sure everyone asks Jack, and he's sick of talking about it, of course. But that's genuinely where we are as a training camp.
Yeah, obviously we'll move on from that one. Lerone Harrison is out there now. Again, I spoke to you after his great performance to make it 4-0. When can we next see him out as well?
Before the end of the year. So before the end of the year, we're expecting him to be out. And again, it's the learning phase for him now. So he's in the gym. He was in the gym the same week. So he fought at the weekend, and then Monday, Tuesday, he was back in, and that proves how how much he wants it. Because again, you see people who've boxed, they have a 4-rounder and then they have a month off. I mean, like, why? It's a 4 round, and that's not to demean the 4-rounders, but you don't need a month off after 4-rounder. I understand those who have a 12-week camp for a 12-rounder and a world championship, the magnitude it is. I understand them needing time, downtime. People who are just starting on the career, they need to be in the gym. They need to be learning, because this is the learning time. This is where the fight is won. This is where the development carries on here in the boxing club. Not, what. Of course, it's great to watch videos and all that, but this is where you need to be doing it. And then you develop it. You do the work in the ring on the night, but then you get back in the gym straight away, and that's where Lerone is. And so, again, we've got an exciting future, and we're just here to facilitate that and just to make sure everything goes in the right direction.
Hopefully as well this Saturday could see Rocky Fielding out for the Pro Bellum show. You got some news to tell me on that one?
Nah, I haven't. Again, I'm in the same boat as everybody else. I come here, train, hold my hands up, get bashed, get smacked around. No, it's just, listen, the gym's buzzing on mass, so it helps working with world-class fighters, top-class fighters. People, it's easy to train. Listen, and I'm, of course, people are going to say that it's true. It's easy. If you can't train past world champions, future world champions, kids who are elite, then it's not the sport for you, obviously. But it's a pleasure to be here and work with these kids, because they're all dying and to do the job, and that's what they're doing.
It's a real pleasure to speak to you. Like, obviously, you've known the sport for many years, and you come from such a good place, I think, in the sport. But a question I want to ask you, and I asked Andy Clark this, someone who's worked in the amateurs for a number of years, and one of the things that I've tried to get over since my work is the Olympic problems and the problems that we could see with the Olympic boxing ban. I just want to get how much that would impact the sport in your eyes, Nigel.
Yeah, it'd be suicide for the sport. And again, I'm not a political animal, but I know there's a lot of nonsense going on. We've all seen terrible decisions, but you get terrible decisions on local shows. So it's not just a business. Obviously, IEBA or IBA as it is now, could be finalising the end of the amateur sport. It really could, because the amateur sport, boxing will continue in whatever guys, because it is such a passionate sport and there are so many people involved. But it could be gigantic how bad it could be if it's not in it's in Paris, it's on the thing. But if it's not in after that, then it could be an end to the sport. And I think I can't understand how it's happening. And the CEO or the chair or president or whatever it's called, he's been voted back in, and the world the Olympic OIC didn't list it on the next Olympics because of that decision. So I don't know how they're going to undo that. And I've got a vested interest. It's my sport. Professional boxing. Boxing's my sport. Boxing's what I do. But the root of my work is at the amateur gym, where I'll be going in a bit. And I've got some good kids, some poor kids, some fantastic kids, some kids who are just doing it for fitness. I've got I've got a vast array of kids in my gym, so the diversity in my gym is massive. But I've also got kids at GB, so Pat Brown and Conor Tusbury, they're at GB, and they're hoping for the Olympics, of course. Now, it might be okay for the next one, for the Paris. They're in the programme now, and it's on the programme. After that, I don't know where it will go, because why would people be doing the sport if what's the end result? Of course, you're going to have the Worlds. But the showcase of the Olympics is the biggest thing in the world. And that's why you get these £1 million contracts coming out of the Olympics. And you've got people who are relatively wealthy after the amateur sport because they get signed up for a contract. I've never known it, so it's great for them to do that. But the beauty of it is it's an aim. The ambition is to go on the Olympics. It was my ambition. Never in a million years was I going to do it. but it was my ambition to do it. I wanted to do it. I had dreams, positive thoughts and all that. Got blown out of the water straight away. But I'm still involved in the sport, and I love this sport. And part of it is the beauty of the amateur sport. The 3 rounds. They went to 4 rounds, and they went to 5 rounds, then back to 4, then 3. It's a brilliant sport, and it's where everyone starts off. Generally, 99% of successful fighters starts out in an amateur gym, like the Mossai kids are doing now, and gyms up and down the country. Jamie Moore's just opened a gym in Walden. Fantastic, doing some fantastic stuff. Got a kid here today who's training with us, who's also in the quarterfinals, so doing great things. Little Alfie Middlemiss, he's here to train with us, and it's a pleasure to train him. So it starts. That's the grassroots, and that's what needs to be financed, needs to be facilitated, needs to be looked after, because there are millions of kids who will end up with more negative futures than they could have had without boxing.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously just want to touch on that. I mean, the wealth of volunteers, including yourself, that are all involved within boxing is, they're the real, the real backbone. I do think of boxing in this country. But obviously, moving on to other things within professional boxing, I do want to get your thoughts on Saturday. We were meant to have the Conor Benn and Eubank fight, unfortunately. Yeah, you just decided that, unfortunately, due to a failed drug test. I hate the adverse findings that everyone seems to be using, but the failed drugs test by Conor Benn. Just to get your thoughts when you found that out, mate.
I think it's bullshit. End of story. What I think is disgusting. I think we're kicking ourselves in the bollocks, in the nuts. Sorry, I'm angry like anyone else is angry. I'm angry because it's a real own goal for us. So we've had so many of them, and we've had so many, things that we're doing to ourselves, and it's difficult to stomach. So that some of the best kids in our country, even the world of boxing, have been found guilty of negative tests. So there's obviously there has to be a problem. Universally, shall we say. Yeah, I'm in a gym in Astley, an amateur gym in Moss Side, where there's no speak of it, and I don't understand where these drug users get it from, because I don't know. I have no knowledge of it. I see doctors talking about it who are immersed in our gym, and listen, it's a real own goal for us as a sport. So we seem to be ruining it from the Olympics all the way up to negative tests, adverse findings. He's failed the drug test. He's got a stimulant in his system. There's nothing else to call for it apart from cheating. That's it. And I've heard adverse fucking effects before on Mexican beef and all that. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. You cannot. It's bullshit. Listen, I love this sport, and I'm a hypocrite. I'm a massive knobhead. I'm a hypocrite because I saw Canelo, who's a drug cheat, and went, oh, that's Canelo. Shell shots, because he's fighting one of my fighters. Even shook his hand, and I'm thinking, wow. So I'm a hypocrite like anybody else. But until we as an organisation rebel against it and say, right, that is it, ban them, ban every one of them, forever, lifetime ban all, but a ban that's certainly career defining, not a 6-month ban like Canelo got, and he was out of camp, so he was having 6 months downtime anyway. That's not a punishment. It wasn't a punishment, and it isn't a punishment, and nothing has happened to him. Even now, he's talked about it as the pound for pound number 1, 2, 3, whatever it is. He was the number 1 before he got beat up Bibble, definitely. Everyone said that. How can he be a pound for pound king when he's a cheat? And they say, well, adverse beef. Fuck off. Excuse my language. Adverse beef. Mexican beef. No. The amount of, and again, and then I watch, like anybody else, I watch social media, watch everything. And when people say, and you learn more about it. I've learned about that it is easy to get rid of, apparently. Not a chance. What would I do if one of my kids in my gym said, can you get me that? I'd say, get out of the fucking door. They don't. But people must know that I'm against it. People,
Are you still fucking talking?
I know. We're talking about Mexican beef.
He's going on, Jamie. He's going on.
Mexican beef. You want to talk about Mexican beef?
Someone sprayed grass all over you, man. I think someone should see Catterall running off.
Oh God. Fabulous though. Yeah, carry on, Nigel. Before Jamie got involved.
I know, but I'm passionate about it. But we're still not talking the truth. There's other people who are doing it and have done it, but the only way we're ever going to stop, and that's it. So I don't know if it stopped in cycling, but when Lance Armstrong got done, they must have clamped down. Are they still doing it? I'm not a cyclist, I don't know. But until our sport cleans up itself, whether that be dodgy judging, whether that be Olympics sorting out, whether that be testing drugs uniformly, whether there's a world governing body of professional sport, rather than listen, it's a business, and that's the point. It's a business. It's about money, so some people are too big for the sport because the money that goes into a certain place when Canelo fights, why would they ban him? That's the harsh reality. Do you want clean? Do you want real honesty, or do you want business? That's up to the world governing body, the world governing bodies. Not the governing body, which is fucking ridiculous. We haven't even got a national governing body. We have a council who advise, who are a limited company, who can't enforce anything. And listen, they made the right choice at the weekend, I believe, by not having the fight. The fact that there were some people discussing doing it, how? Come on. Because the B sample wasn't done. What the fuck? Get out of town. The A sample is the same piss as in the B sample. So it's the same. Come on, we know. We all know.
I think that was one of the main things that came out of it was because I asked Annie this question. I said, well, because everyone came out on Friday, as soon as the announcement was made, and a lot of people were coming out saying, oh, well, at least common sense prevailed. But I said to Annie, I said, well, did common sense prevail, or did they run out of options?
They obviously tried to do it. And listen, Twitter, social media, YouTube, cameras, phones, they're a wonderful thing because they capture moments in time. They capture moments in time of judges, presidents, chairpeople, CEOs, promoters saying this shouldn't happen, that shouldn't happen. And then when it's their boxer or it's their commodity, well, come on, I mean, might be a mistake here. Come on. And so that is us. As an organisation, as a group of people, doing ourselves in because we're not being strong. So the boxing, would I have watched it? Probably. Am I complicit in the nonsense? Not complicit. I'm just a boxing man. Tell if you're a real boxing man, you want to watch it. Nonsense. I like boxing. I don't like dogfighting, but if there was, because I'd hate to see dogs getting hurt. But if there was business in dogfighting, they'd be earning money off it. Whether they're sticking needles in them, whether they're sticking testosterone in them, fucking ovarian stuff, I don't know. It's just a nonsense, and we're not doing it. It's us. It's down to the organisation. I'm part of that, and people know my stance because I've said it. And am I slagging people off? Certainly, because it's an own goal. Will they come in and fill me in? Probably. But it's ridiculous, isn't it? It's ridiculous that our organisation, we're doing ourselves an injustice. We need to stand up and say, enough is enough. And I hope that it is Saturday's debacle. I hope. Will it, do I, if I'm a betting man, what would I think? Probably not. Because we're now talking about other stuff. Anyway, it's an own goal, and I think the Olympics similar. We're not doing ourselves any favours. We are our own worst enemy, or the money's our own worst enemy because they're bothered about that and not about the welfare, the health and safety, even the safeguarding. It's ridiculous. They need to look after these kids. That's why we're here. That's why we've got amateur gyms that cost a lot of time, money, energy, passion to engage with these kids and teach them. And yet you got the top of the tree kicking itself in the nuts saying cheating's acceptable. It isn't.